Good morning. We look today at one of the, I think, a confusing chapter of Revelation, chapter 13. I mean, I don't know if any of it's more confusing than any other, but we have images of, I shouldn't even probably say confusing, but it's full of wonder. We just don't understand it all. Too much imagery, but the chapter 12 ended with, then the dragon took his stand on the sand of the seashore. And the dragon is, representing Satan, fallen from heaven, cast out from heaven with all of his angels, the anti-God, the antichrist, whatever you want to call him. But the dragon is standing there on the seashore, and then a great beast comes out of the sea. And a fierce, very frightening. I mean, when you look at the description of the beast, he's got 10 horns, 7 heads. On its horns were 10 diadems, and its heads were like blasphemous names. And the beast I saw was like a leopard, its feet like a bear, its mouth like a lion. I mean, it isn't an animal that I'd like to encounter in the wild. I mean, there's a lot of animals I wouldn't want to encounter in the wild. I mean, you think about, so many things, a bear, a wolf, a lion, even if you're walking out, in the middle of the country out here, there are a lot of little animals that scurry around, and even to run into a skunk is, you don't want to do that. But this beast that comes out of the sea is one of frightening proportions, and its description is, just makes you wonder, well, why would anyone want to even get close to it or anything? But the reality of it is that because it's so frightening, and because it speaks, and because it's on the earth, it has power over people, and it exercises that power. And so the dragon represents, Satan, and this beast represents, say, a government on earth. Right now there's talk of a worldwide government. That one government over the whole world, and in some ways, this represents that, but it's authority. It's an authority figure that many people listen to, many people begin to worship, and this dragon, the mighty dragon, Satan, gives voice to this beast, gives power and great authority to the beast, and it says that one of the heads, it's got 7 heads, but one of the heads appears to have received a death blow, and but yet it's recovered, and I mean, to recover from a death blow is quite something that way. But so I don't really know what that means. I've got, some things in my head that it could be, that, the death blow, could symbolize the birth of Jesus, or it could symbolize Moses. It could symbolize any one of God's prophets who came, but yet the people didn't listen to at the time, but yet this still has authority. I mean, but, this death blow that would have struck against Satan, but yet, didn't totally defeat Satan in the world. I mean, could be a whole lot of things. I might be totally way off base, whatever. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's in amazement, the whole world followed the beast because of this, recovery from the death blow. It says the whole world followed the beast. They worshiped the dragon, saying, who is like the beast? Who can fight against it? But yet further down in verse 8, we Christians have hope, because it says all the inhabitants of the earth will worship everyone whose name has not been written in the book of life. And so whose names are written in the book of life? I mean, to me, my name is written in the book of life because I believe in Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And I believe and trust the promise that he will raise me from the dead, that he will protect me from the devil. Not that the devil doesn't have any sway over me right now, but yet my sins are forgiven in Jesus Christ. So, I mean, there are some that won't be affected by this. And I have hope in that. I mean, hope, and Christian hope, as I've said many times, is a confident expectation that God will keep his promises, that God is always faithful. And verses 9 and 10 are somewhat scary. You know, listen, you know, if you're taken captive, into captivity you go. If you kill with the sword you'll be killed. Just, if we're faithful, we will remain faithful. I mean, it's just so much imagery here that, I mean, it just gets overwhelming. Yeah, and we could spend days, or, you know, hours at least, you know, talking about any one verse and examining what it may or may not mean. You know, verse 7 says that this beast was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. Was given authority over every tribe and people. But then, as I read in verse 8, you know, those whose names are written in the book of life won't worship this beast. So, I mean, we've got some contradictory images here, some things that where this beast is making war on us, it's not going to be able to conquer us. It's not going to be able to sway us. It's not going to turn our opinions and our faith away from God. And so we have the dragon and the first beast that's come out of the sea, and then another beast in verse 11 rises out of the earth that has two horns like a lamb, and it speaks like a dragon, and it exercises all the authority of the first beast, you know. And so we've got two beasts loose on earth now, one from the sea and one from the earth, that are wreaking havoc upon humanity, upon the earth. You know, it exercises all authority and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast whose mortal wound had been healed. So this second beast, I mean, we got the dragon, Satan, we got the first beast maybe representing, you know, world government, and then we got another beast, a leader of a big government or something. I mean, there's so much that it could be. Not that means that it's exactly going to be, because there's a lot of times in the Bible that we have prophecy, but prophecy is fulfilled in a different manner than what is expected. And so where this is a vision is different than prophecy. So there's just so much uncertainty about so much of this, and I hesitate to share my opinions on some of this as well, but I will a little bit anyway. So, performs great signs, making fire come down from heaven. I mean, it's got powers, and powers to destroy, powers to heal, powers to do wondrous things that no person on earth can do. But yet this beast is able to do it, and so by that, people worship it, people go to it, people go, you know, flock to it, to some because of the miracles and some because of the fear. You know, if you don't, I mean, what's going to happen to you? And it was a lot. And then they create an image of the dragon. Let's see, they create an image, and this beast gives voice to this created image. So a statue is given power and voice, and it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be marked on the forehead. You know, and the number it says is 666, you know, 666. That's what we end with in chapter 13. That, you know, and I remember I commented about the Left Behind series, and again, I've read that, most of it as an action adventure, science fiction, fantasy. It's, you know, there are some biblical facts in it, but the authors say this is a work of fiction. So, but in that book, it's just like, you know, what the Bible indicates here with this number 666, the 3 6s on your forehead, you'll be able to buy food and milk and the things you need. And if you don't have that number, you're going to be out of luck. And so for those of us that are marked with the cross of Christ on our forehead, will we have the power to resist that? Will we not be marked? And in that Left Behind series, you know, the people that are faithful believers in God somehow get around having this tattooed on their foreheads and whatever. And those books leave me a lot of questions and everything too, but with so much of what's going on. But yet here, you know, here it's telling us that No one can buy or sell who doesn't have the mark. And this calls for wisdom. It says, let anyone with understanding calculate the number of the beast. Let anyone with understanding figure out, determine, well, what is the mark of the beast, and how is it going to affect you? And I mean, they tell us the number, and 6 on the sixth day, creation wasn't completed, and 7 is the complete number of creation, and there's so many things in the Bible. Yeah, but six shows that it's not complete yet, and so this 666 is a number that just like number 13, people they don't, some hotels don't have a 13th floor because of the superstition of 13 being such an unlucky day. And so here, chapter 13 of Revelation sounds like an unlucky chapter for a lot of people, with the dragon and 2 beasts and the Antichrist and the marking of the number on foreheads and all of that, and the beasts preying upon the saints of God. Yet, as I said, in verse 8 especially, there is the hope, that the promise that, that those whose names are written in the book of life will be saved, will be safe, will be protected somehow. God protects us every day from so much evil and so much sin around us, and Satan is there prowling around just like these dragons and these beasts, and we get turned around so often in our lives by Satan. So on this day, just 3 days now before Christmas, may you embrace the living Christ.